I'll introduce myself.
Yes. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Lovely People webinar. So, I was just asking the lovely Erna how to say her surname, and I am actually going to bottle it here because when she was trying to get me to say it, it wasn't working. So, would you like to introduce yourself, lovely Erna?
Yes. Well, my name is Erna zuidhoek, and most English people say Erna, and I'm used to that now, so that's okay. And the last name is Zuidhoek, and I just told you, when you translate it, it's south corner, but we'll just keep it in Dutch, because I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, that's perfect.
But
I want to start by saying a big thank you for stepping in onto our webinar this evening, because we were going to have the lovely Sam Munslow, but unfortunately she's poorly, so she couldn't make it. So I put out a call to all the lovely people, and Erna was very kind in saying she would come and chat to us this evening. So thank you. So I would love you to I interrupted you there. I would love you to carry on telling us about you and anything that seems relevant for you. And we'll just get the conversation rolling.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm in the Netherlands, and well, I help people to live a kind of stress-free life as much as possible. And I do that with having conversations with them around the 3 principles. And I also use a modality that's called Access Consciousness bars. I don't know if anyone heard of that, but there are these 32 points on the head. When you touch them lightly, stress and thoughts dissipate with ease. And it's a really relaxing treatment. So that's in a short version what I do. And I came across the principles in September 2017, so a little over a year and a half now. And October 31 of 2017 was the day that turned my life around, I guess. That was the day that I had this big insight about my thinking, that it's a moment I will never forget, because it was like a kind of a bomb dropped in on me, and I saw everything in a new light. And I can tell a little bit about that, because it's a story that I was on my way to school with my daughter on the bike. And it was raining a little bit, and she was complaining about, well, when I come home for lunch this afternoon, then I have to bike home in the rain, she said. And the first thing that I thought was, well, you can't have everything. And just the instant right up after that, there was this, I still think that was not a thought. It came from the universe. Like, what if you can have everything? What if the thought that I just had before, like you can't have everything, what if that's not true? And that was, I was speechless. I was like jaw dropping, like wow. And that day I had this big smile on my face all day long, like the world changed for me, because I was the thing that I was doing positive thinking and affirmations and all that kind of stuff that we all have done, I guess. And in that moment I saw that wasn't necessary anymore. And that was an amazing moment. So that's how the principles came walking into my life at that moment. So it's
That's
really
lovely. That's brilliant. That's an amazing story. And insights are so simple, aren't they? And yet when we try to put across to somebody else what we have seen, they are very personal and very special to us, aren't they, when we have those moments?
Yeah, they are. And I remember that after that I was, I want to have more insights. I want to have more insights. So I was just looking for insights, and then they didn't came, obviously. But that was something that put me on a journey into the principles. And that's how I met most of you who are on this call here tonight, when I look at the names. And I love the conversations that I'm having with people all around the world now, like when I joined the Viva event last year, when I met you guys, and Terry I met Terry there for the first time in real life. And yeah, it's an amazing community also. Like, everybody is so kind and so friendly, and that's something that you don't see very often in other kinds of coaching modalities, or that's more like they're competing with each other. And here I don't have that. I don't see that, and that's really something special, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed how much this brings us all onto a level playing field. It's kind of, when I speak with my clients and people that I'm working with, nearly everything that they bring to the table, I'm kind of like, yeah, and me. Yeah, and me. When they kind of, any thinking they get stuck in, I've either had the same thinking, the same thoughts, or similar ones, or, but it is, like you say, it's almost when we have those insights, they're insights that make sense to us. And to me, the words I use on that is, it feels like it unpicks the thinking that I'm trapped in.
Yeah.
So just before, when we were speaking, just before we started, you said that, could you share something that's making sense to you, something that's been helpful that you've seen? So I would absolutely love you to do that. I love being helpful. If we can be helpful, great.
Well, the last few weeks have been kind of special, I guess. I don't know really how to start this off, but for most of my life, I have been thinking that I was not good enough, as a lot of people have that thought in their mind, and that I had to work. I'm not the only one. And I was thinking I had to do work harder and do my best and make sure I do everything right. And I had a lot of doubts about me, what I was doing in the world, and kind of, like, why are some people having this kind of experience and I am having this kind of experience, and looking outside of myself for comparing myself to other people in the business or just in normal life. And there were a lot of times still when I have this thing about me that I think things aren't right for me. Like, there has to be something else that I made up in my mind, that it doesn't look the way I want it to look for me. And the last weeks, few months maybe, there has been a change in all of that going on. And I have this, I say it a lot, like, what if everything is right? What if everything is perfectly right in any given moment? And last week, I got the kind of proof for that with something I discovered for myself. And all the puzzle pieces just fitted in like this. It was amazing. Everything that I have made wrong about me, thinking that I should have to change or have to work hard or have to do things different, everything came together last week with this new thing that I discovered. And that was such an amazing moment that, yeah, I'm still speechless about that, because I could see in that moment also that all that thinking that has been going on for me about this whole topic of not being good enough and work harder. The funny thing is, sometimes you can see it's your thinking, and in other parts of your life you just can't see it. You're just in it and moving around and looking around, and you just don't see that it's all up here. And now that this whole thing has come together as a big puzzle that clicks perfectly, everything in my life is exactly as it has to be in this moment. It couldn't have been any other way. And that's, yeah, this year in May I am turning 50, and the moment for this discovery is also perfect timing. Like everything is, and then that's the way I look at life more and more. Like, what if everything is exactly as it's supposed to be, even if we think it's not, because there is this kind of bigger plan laid out for us. And all we have to do kind of is step up in life, and it unfolds for us in the most perfect way possible. And yeah, that's such an amazing experience to just see that fall into place this last week. Yeah.
That sounds absolutely lovely. So what would you say to somebody who's listening to this and they don't really know maybe exactly what it is we're talking about, and they're kind of saying, yeah, but my life's not like that, my life's really not okay, and I'm this age and it's not how it should be?
Yeah, I think that it is. We all have a kind of a plan in our head how our life should look like. Like you gotta have a house or a partner or kids or a job or success or whatever, and you gotta be healthy, and we have this kind of picture in our head of how our life should look like. And when this picture is not perfect the way you think it should be, then we have this this feeling that our life is not the way that it's supposed to be, because we have all that thinking going on and looking outside of ourselves for like I said before, comparison with other people, with other things in life. That those people are successful, or they make a lot of money, or they have this big house, or they have this, and then you look outside of yourself for the things to make you happy, and then it looks like your life is not okay. But like I said, what if everything is okay? And all our thinking is doing is making a mental picture of how how you want your life to look like. But what if it's just perfect as it is in the moment? And this is a big one for me also, because I haven't seen that for myself in like 48 years or something. And that's what we do as people. We have a mind of our own when we think, and that creates expectations of life, and so, like I said before, this thing that is clicking for me now. All this time I have also been thinking it's not, somewhere deep down inside I kind of knew that it was okay, like you have this kind of deep knowing inside of you that you feel that there's, yeah, maybe it's okay the way it is, but all those buts that come up, then you again look outside of yourself to see and compare yourself to the life of others, or the way you think your life should be.
Do you know what I'm hearing in what you say? For me personally, what I kind of see is that our thinking makes up these stories that appear real and true to us.
Yeah.
And when we come across this understanding, somehow something happens to us and a thought occurs to us to question whether these stories we've made up are true.
Yeah.
Because I had a very similar experience, and I've shared it with people, and what occurred to me was, it sounds like quite a similar thing, and what the thought that comes to me is, am I okay even here? And it had a similar effect on me. I began, I would be in a set of circumstances that I was thinking, this isn't right, my life shouldn't be like this, this shouldn't happen. And then this thought would occur to me, am I all right even here? And then it would kind of make me actually stop and look, and I would find that in spite of all the things that my thinking was telling me, I am actually okay even here. And it sounds like what you're sharing, it sounds like your insight, your version of a similar thing. That's kind of like your thinking's going, it's not okay, your life shouldn't be like this, it's not okay. And then through looking in the direction of truth, through looking in the direction of these principles, the tiniest bit of light has been turned on within you. That's kind of, this question has arisen in you. Is that true? Is it possible that I am okay, even though my thinking's telling me I'm not? Yeah. And that is massive. It's life-changing. Yes. When that tiny space is created. And that, to me, you've shared beautifully, that to me is what we're pointing to. Somehow or other, a byproduct of looking in this direction, tiny little cracks that light can get through kind of happen within our thinking.
Yeah, and the light is already on inside of us. And because of those little cracks, I call them crack in your egg. Then this light is coming out, and then you can see things in a different way. And there are still areas in my life that I don't see it, and that's okay too. And I can see that now, that everything is okay, even if it looks that it's not okay. And that's something that's really profound for me, to have that understanding now, and to see life in such a different way, evolving for me. And all I have to do is to respond to what life is giving me, to what life is showing me. And sometimes that is to step up, and sometimes that is to sit back and just enjoy the ride, like you're in this flow of life all the time. And life has this, it's kind of a current that's going downstream or whatever, it's going, and you're in it. And what we're trying to do is swim against the current sometimes, or to use things that don't make sense when you look at it from in rear. I don't know how you say that. When you look back, then you know that it couldn't have been any other way. So it's perfectly unfolding without us thinking that we're in control. Hindsight. Thank you, Terry. Yes, that's the one.
Thanks, Terry.
So it's unfolding perfectly, even if we don't think it is. And now that I can see it, and the other thing is that I am becoming also more and more aware of the thoughts that are going through my mind. before this understanding, and even just weeks, months ago, I knew there were thoughts, but I wasn't always aware of them. And now, maybe a funny story about that. I don't like to cook. It's not my hobby. I don't like to eat a hot meal. I prefer a bread and soup or something. But my family, my husband, my children, they prefer a hot meal like vegetables. And we here in the Netherlands have potatoes and like meat and just a normal Dutch meal. But I don't like cooking. And then I also have to think about what I have to cook. You know, I have to get the groceries and do shopping. So when they tell me what they want to eat, well, I get it in the store and then I'll make it. But most of the time, I start too late with cooking. So it's kind of a short term activity, like in the 30 minutes we have to eat because they're kind of like 6 o'clock sharp, we want to have dinner. And there were times when I was just so upset about making dinner. I was like, I have to make dinner and I have to peel the potatoes and clean the vegetables. And there was so much going on in my mind and therefore also in my body, like stress was going on. And I didn't notice it, that was also thinking. And then one day, just not so very long ago, I thought to myself, okay, then I became aware of these thoughts that were going on in my mind. And I was thinking, is this even mine? Are those thoughts even mine that are going on? Like, I don't want to cook, I don't want to cook. And then the answer was like kind of, no, it's not yours. It's just coming up or coming through me and just like coming through. But what I was doing, I was keeping it shut here, like I was holding them in my head, like I have to do something about it. And now that I saw that, it was like, oh, they're just thoughts. I don't have to do anything with them. And now, most of the times, not every day, but most of the time, I can cook without stress. Because I have seen in that area that I couldn't see it before, that was also this stirred up thinking of mine that made it such a big thing to cook. And that's just, things are going so much easier when you don't have to dive into all the thinking that is going on. You hear it, but you can let it go by and you can cook without stress. How great is that? Yeah. Just a practical example.
Yeah, when you realize that you don't have to agree with every thought that's in your head, it doesn't have to be what you think. Yeah, that is it. That is amazing. Yeah. So I would really, really love you to, as best you can, we kind of talked about this understanding, we vaguely mentioned the word principles. I don't know how you would articulate this, what you would say, but if somebody's kind of watching this and going, what understanding? What are you talking about? Can you, as best you can, share what you see this understanding is? You know, what is it we're pointing to?
For me, it's still kind of difficult to explain it in a few words. But what I have seen for myself is that the more I know of how I function as a human being, with my thinking, with my feelings, with this world that we're living in, it looks like to me like we have something you can like it's a manual for life. For like, I know now that okay, I have thoughts and those thoughts create feelings, and those thoughts, I don't know where they're coming from, but they are there, and they are coming from something that's bigger than me, bigger than all of us, something that grows the trees, makes it rain, blows the wind. I don't know how to call it. Some people call it God, the universe. In the principles, we call it mind or universal mind. But whatever name you put to it, there is a bigger force, life force at work for us. And we don't have to do all the heavy lifting ourselves when we know how we work as a human being. And that makes life a lot simpler for me and for the people I work with.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. That's lovely. It is one of those questions, isn't it, when somebody asks you, what is this? But I know when I first came across this, and I would watch and people would kind of say, oh, the principles or this understanding. And I would just be, what understanding? What? It felt like they were trying to keep a secret from me. So I kind of like to ask that question for people. So it's kind of like, it is the reason that we don't say much about it some of the time is because it is difficult to put words onto it, but we're not deliberately trying to hide something. It's out there. So yeah, but it's also like we think we can control our life, we can control the things that are happening in life, but I see more and more that we are not at the wheel of life. We are not steering the car of life, you know. We just have to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. And the more you try to control things, the more difficult life gets for a lot of people. And this flow that I was talking about earlier, this flow of life, you're in it, and there's no way you cannot be in it, because there's also this thing like, I'm in the flow, or are you in the flow? I'm always in the flow. I'm always in the flow of life. And when I just can relax in the flow of life, life takes me exactly where I need to be in any given moment. That's the way I see it more and more for myself. And it's like life's taking us there, and we can kick and scream and fight, or we can go.
It's not up to us, you know. It's not up to us. We think we are, and that's giving such a hard time for in a lot of areas of life, when you try to hold when you think you are driving it, you know. And
shall we see if anybody has got a question or a comment or anything like that? As always, when I get into these conversations, I kind of forget there's anyone else, and I like chatting, and I'm kind of like, just get on with it. So I'm reminding myself I'm being a good host. Has anyone got a question, or would anyone like to comment on anything that we've spoken about, or anything like that? Feel free to either unmute yourself, or, oh, here we go. Lovely Terry has put her hand up. Hi. Yeah. Hi, Terry.
Hello. I'm really intrigued, Erna, about this insight that you were hinting at, where you got that bigger picture, where you had that sense of, okay, I get it, or I can see this now. Can you talk a little bit more about that experience?
You mean with my daughter on the bike thing?
In whatever way it was showing up for you, you know, and how things looked from that moment.
Yeah, the first insight that I had with my daughter on the bike, that was like, that opened up something for me. Like I said, I knew there was something deeper to life than I could see before that moment. And now it's like a journey. Every day is for me is like, I have kind of little nuggets of life talking to me in a kind of way that I've never seen before. Like like this morning, I was maybe I'm just drifting off of your question, but I can see so much more the synchronicity of life and the serendipity of things that are unfolding without me interfering in anything, you know. And so every day has something to offer to me in a way that I've never seen it before. And my life has changed so much over the last year and a half, way more than all those years before that, you know. And I also believe that all the years that I've been on this planet, for 94 years at this moment, I think all of that time has been a preparation for this moment, for any moment. Like I said, what if everything is just perfectly right? So there's nothing to worry about so much anymore. You know, I get stressed up sometimes about things, but not like I used to before I knew this, you know. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Well, it's beautiful that it's as if there is a point where you realize that sense of, oh, everything really is okay.
Yeah.
And it always has been. You know, it's like you come to this point where you realize, part of what you were talking about around your thoughts, when you said, you know, they're not my thoughts, it points to, well, who am I?
Yeah.
You know, we aren't our thoughts. Thoughts happen.
Yeah, thoughts can just come up and they disappear all by themselves. We don't have to do anything about it.
So that moment of that recognition, which you've seen, it changes everything.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't force that into existence. You know, it happens or it doesn't. And like when after that first insight, I went, oh, I want more. And then they didn't show up, of course. They show up in the moment that there's nothing on my mind, I guess. When most of the times when I'm out with my dog on a walk, I do that every morning. We go for a half an hour walk, and sometimes I feel like I don't feel like going out, like it's raining or it's cold. And when I do take that walk, that is the most valuable half hour of my day most of the time, because then I'm just out in the open air and I see birds and whatever comes by, and there's nothing really going on in my mind. And then these little insights pop up, or I see something and that reminds me of something, or, you know, and that's such a beautiful way of being in life. But there has to be kind of a, not so stirred up thinking going on for insights to come, or wisdom. I guess it's wisdom after all, to come to you and to, to make you see something that you've never seen before. And I do compare it sometimes with this snow globe I have. This is such an amazing thing to show people, that when the whole day you do this, there's nothing that can come into your mind of wisdom or whatever. And then I tell them, you don't have to do anything. It clears up all by itself. And then there's peace and peace in your head. And then these beautiful insights come. Most people have insight in the shower or on the toilet. So that are moments that you're just like, oh, okay, you're drifting off with your mind, and then there's space for wisdom to come in.
It was so curious when you showed that snow globe, because I was looking at it and going, wow, the whole snow globe is it, even when it's stirred up. Yeah. It's like seeing that insight is even there when stir up is happening. So it's like, even just seeing that was such a visual representation of, I'm already in this place of okayness, I'm already complete, there's nothing lacking. Whatever's going on in the snow globe it's not saying anything about who we are.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself settles everything down. But even if it's not settled down, we're still okay.
Yeah. And that's what I see also in real life now.
Yeah.
You know, the moments when I was cooking and it was all stirred up here.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it then, and now I can see it. And now they think, oh, okay, there's nothing I need to do. I can still cook a meal despite everything that's going on here. Or a great example is with my daughter. She's 12, and sometimes she doesn't feel like going out of bed and going to school. And I don't like to go to school. I want to stay in bed. You know, she's 12. She just went to the high school, I guess you call it. And then she has this whole picture in her head how dreadful it's going to be in school, and that she has to bike to school all this way in the rain. And she makes this huge story up in her head, and she's like, wah, 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 all over the place. And then I tell her, well, when I go downstairs now and I think about cleaning out the dishwasher and cleaning up the house as I come downstairs, I don't feel like it either. But when I think about it too much, then I don't want to do it anymore. So I just hear those thoughts. They are there. And then I just let them be there. And then I go clean out the dishwasher. Yeah, I don't like it sometimes. But when I don't have too much thinking about going on, then it's just an easy job. And it's done before you know it.
It is amazing how much capacity we have got for doing things, no matter what is going on in our head.
Yeah.
It is amazing when we see that. And sometimes we tell ourselves the story that I can only do this when I'm in the right headspace, whatever this happens to be. Go to school, clean out the dishwasher, whatever. You know, we tell ourselves the story, I can only do this when I'm in the right headspace.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the insights that you're talking about, those things just show us, you know what? You can have all the thinking you like or don't like going on in your head, but your capacity to do things in the world isn't diminished.
Yeah.
There isn't a connection there. And the only connection is a thought believed.
Yeah. And it's also really amazing how fast things are shifting when you don't pay too much attention to it. I remember last Saturday I came out of bed and I went downstairs and I was like, I don't feel like doing anything. And it was like kind of moody. And so I sat down, had a coffee, and then all of a sudden I noticed myself going up, standing up, going for another coffee. And then I was like, things just started to look and feel better again. You know, it was like just this dip, and then I came out of it again. And then I thought, who cares if I had a bad mood? I'm back and we're going. You know, it's so much more easy going for me now. Everything's just so great to see it in this light. And and when I think about it, it's just like, how could I have never seen it before? It wasn't the right time. It wasn't the moment that I was ready to see it. It came to me and I saw it. So it's really great.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, isn't it? When you see it, it's as plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah.
When you don't see it, it's just hidden. It's like you haven't got a nose. You
Yeah.
just can't see it. It's like it's not there. And then when you do see it, it's like, oh, how did I not see that?
Yeah. And also the other thing that in the beginning you asked me about what I was doing in the world, like I'm also part of a group now that's called When Women Speak with Nicola Snoad and Sarah Sanderson. And When Women Speak is about speaking up whatever is there to speak up about. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, if you something about your career or family or just anything in the moment. And that's also great example for how the universe shows up when you show up and when you speak up for what you really would like. This Women Speak group is something that's going to be a global thing. When Nicola and Sarah, when they started it, they called it When Women Speak Global Network. And I joined because it was something that really spoke to me, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I'm a When Women Speak leader, with Catherine also on this call is a When Women Speak leader. And in the beginning of the year, I think it was January 3rd, I just had this thought come up in my mind, and it said like, what would it take to be a When Women Speak leader and a WW for worldwide? And I thought, that's nice. That's something that cheered me up. I was really happy about that thought. And then I posted it in the Facebook group that we have. So what would it take to be a When Women Speak leader worldwide? And it was something that just showed up in my mind. It was not like I had an agenda for it, or I had been pushing something or whatever. It was just like, okay, a thought, just put it out there. And we talked about it in the group. And a few days later, I was at a network meeting. And this was at the beginning of the year. And they were like, what would your wish be for this year? I said, I know my wish. I want to be a When Women Speak leader worldwide. And they were looking at me. That's an interesting wish that you have. So I put it on this little wooden thing that they gave everyone. And and then the first When Women Speak event came up. And Sarah and Nicola were doing that. And at the evening, they were having dinner with each other, and they were just talking about how they see this thing growing. And then they said, well, we could have a When Women Speak global Facebook group. But yeah, who would gonna run that? And they were both like, Erna! So then they told me, I was like, what? My wish is heard, And now I'm on this webinar. How awesome is that? Also, like, someone canceled and I just stepped up. So here I am. It's also worldwide.
Yeah, it is.
So that's so special when you speak up and share your thoughts. Also, you can, what brings that to the world? So really amazing.
Thank you for that. That is brilliant, because I think way too many of us listen to the thoughts that say, I'm not good enough and I can't do this. And this that we're doing, that we're up to here in North Devon, was very much like, we're just going to do this. And we had a conference last year in September, and we're arranging another one in November. And half the time I feel like, don't tell anyone, but I've got no idea what I'm doing. I'm a complete fraud. I have no, but it's just like, hey, do you know what? And it's amazing. The opportunities that have just, the doors that have just opened, and equally the doors that have stayed shut. The things that we thought would happen, and things that we thought, and no, that hasn't. And then other things. And I think, like you say, living from this place of, what if it is exactly what is happening is okay, is what should be, shouldn't be any other way. And you just, it is amazing. How are we here having this conversation? How are the people on this call that are on this call? You have no idea what seed is going to be planted somewhere, what is going to grow from somebody hearing something, and women speaking out and not listening to that, thinking that I'm not
because and that is something that that's why it spoke to me so much, because I have always been like hiding away and oh, don't look at me, I have nothing to say. And when I saw something on the street who was familiar for me, I was like, oh, I hope they don't see me. And I was just making myself invisible most of the time, years prior to this. And now I can also see that was my mind playing a movie in front of me, like, okay, no one wants to see me or whatever. And now that I can see this more and more, like the thoughts that I think are not true, so the thoughts of anyone else are also not true. So what they are saying to me, like when people say like nasty things or things that you don't really like, you most of the time you take it personal. But now I can see, okay, well, they're just speaking up is like speaking up your thoughts out loud. So
yeah.
I don't get so offended anymore about if anyone says something to me, like they still sometimes, people in my surroundings, they think she's crazy, like the things that she's talking about and the things that she's doing, I don't know. But and then sometimes they tell me and I'm like, okay, cool, I don't get offended by it. Sometimes it hits me, but most of the time I can see it for what it is, not take it personal. And yeah, that's also a big thing for me, to not take things personal anymore. Yeah, and that opens up a really new dimension. Oh my God, I have so much fun when I realized this not taking personal thing. The funny things are happening.
Yeah, definitely the whole taking things personally and trying to control. I think when we see through, you know, we don't need to take things personally. When we see through that, and when we see through, we don't need to be in control, that opens up a huge amount of space to play in life. We've had a question, so do you want to read the question, Beck?
Yeah, I'm not actually going to read it out because what it starts with is saying that there's other people around that might be able to hear. But if people want to have a look at the question, at the comment, that would be nice if everyone wants to do that. Can you read it? Do you want to put your glasses on?
Yeah, I can put my glasses on and read it. Okay.
Just talking about whether something around a relationship is also thought. So it might be nice to just talk to that about relationships and thought. But I won't read the whole thing out.
Yeah. There's a comment in there that if people want to, it's a comment to everyone, so you can read that. Yeah. So if anyone wants to go and read, it's massively helpful. My personal thing was around relationships, and oh my gosh, exactly like you're describing, Erna, saying how life just suddenly looked a completely different way. Is we have an insight and that's what happens, isn't it? Something just looks entirely different to us. I just think this message brings so much hope to the world.
Yeah. If more, I would say, I was about to say, what if more people would get to know about this? But I also can see that I cannot make that happen. It's us talking about here in this conversation, and when people see this replay someday, they eventually, you get it when you get it. You know, it's not something you can force into existence. It's when the timing is right. I'm absolutely sure about it. When the timing is right, it comes to you. You can see new things in your life happening, and also with this kind of relationships things. And what helps me a lot is also to have a lot of humor about things that are going on in your life. I have 3 teenagers in the house, and one thing that really helps me is to
I live with Lucy and Beck.
Rude.
We have to have a lot of humour in this house.
Mostly it, Deb.
Yeah, but that are things that you can stress about also, like teenagers or kids or your husband or whatever, your partner, and
Or your nieces.
the thing that helps. What do you say?
Or your nieces.
Yeah, family. But when I always think back about when I was a teenager. Now with my children, like, okay, how were my parents with me, and how would I have wanted them to react to me in that situation or at that time? And then I put things in perspective with my own children, and then the only thing I can do sometimes is pick up their jackets, pick up their bags from school, put their shoes where they belong, and whatever they leave hanging around the house or make a mess in the kitchen, they are fine always. And sometimes I can get by that really easy, and sometimes I'm like, wow, that's okay. I can see that now for myself. The times when I like and the times when I'm okay, let's pick it up and put it where it belongs. Both of them are okay. And sometimes I get stirred up about it, and sometimes not. So what? And the things that they say and the things that they do, they can help it. They are short-circuited here sometimes. All the wires are not connected in the right way before they're 18, I guess, or before they leave the house. So when I keep that in mind, things are so much easier for me also, and also for my children. They don't have nothing. They don't have anything about me being an angry mother and yelling at them or whatever. I'm so much more relaxed now with the kids, and also with my husband when he says something to me, and I just like, okay, that's your opinion. And I don't dive in there anymore. I don't have to argue about things. It's just, yeah, it's humor and just putting things in perspective and knowing how it works. It's makes a lot of difference.
Yeah. I mean, I'm joking, humour, and joking apart, I absolutely say that the fact that me and Lucy and Beck, my 2 nieces, my partner's here, so it's me and Russ and Lucy and Beck, and then my son, we all live in a house together. So there is 3 grown-up women who have all had their own homes, and now we've come back together and we share one kitchen. And if you are a grown-up woman and you're kind of saying, you can kind of see how much power there is in this understanding, because we're all still alive. We haven't killed each other yet.
It's been a close call.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
I think that, to me, I think that kind of just shows what there is here, that we do live, for the most part, very, very harmoniously together.
Yeah. That's also here for the most part harmoniously, and the other part is okay, so no problem.
Exactly. We're kind of okay when it's not harmonious. We're like, hey, yeah, that's how it is sometimes. It's all good. So that, to me, is a massive testament to what can happen when you come across this understanding. So
yeah, it's a real game changer for me at least, but for everyone I speak. It's
So yeah, keep looking in this direction. Well, I have had a wonderful time talking to you, and it's been really, really lovely getting to know you a little bit better and hearing your stories and hearing your insights. That's just been beautiful. So if anyone wanted to contact you, if anyone wants to know more about you, where can they find out about you?
I'm on Facebook, so look me up, send me a request or a message. And my website name is Erna zuidhoek.nl or Erna zuidhoek@gmail.com. There you can find me also, but I think it's most easy for you to find me on Facebook. My page on Facebook has a Dutch name also, so it's not really easy. But when you find me under my name, Erna Zuidhoek, then you can connect with me anytime. I would love to have this conversation with more people and to bring this out into the world in any given moment, in perfect timing, whatever it takes. So, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. So what else have we got going on that we should
retreat? Well, we've got a retreat this weekend. There's still time to book on if there is anyone
yeah, if you want to come and join us,
come on Friday. Although Lucy's just cooked all the food today, so you might not.
Yeah, you might go hungry.
Lou and Ju have been busy doing that. So yeah, we've got a retreat this weekend if you happen to be free. I was just going to point out that in relation to the question about kind of relationships and thought and stuff, there's lots of stuff on our YouTube channel around that, and Deb, you've got a very interesting story around that as well. So if you want, if people are interested on that,
if you want to actually have a conversation about that, I am very, very open to having a conversation about that, because that is my story.
That's your story, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, you can connect on YouTube. It's Debra Simmons.
Yeah.
On Facebook, our Facebook page is debrasimmons.co.uk. And next week we have the lovely Jean Catherine. Second attempt, because she couldn't make it last time we tried to catch up with her. So hopefully she'll be around next week. And then we also have an online membership. If you kind of like this webinar, we've got lots and lots more of this kind of stuff available on our online membership, which you can find out about if you go to our website, which is daretobeyu.co.uk. So yeah, check out any of that stuff. You can see what we're up to, and we're always up to something. So
we're always up to no good doing something.
We're always up to good doing something.
Good. Yeah, lots and lots of good.
So come and find us, see what we're hanging out.
And when women want to join this When Women Speak community, there is also a Facebook group that is called When Women Speak. Just look it up, then you can join and be free to connect with me or with anyone else in the group, and we'll be happy to join in on a conversation.
Nice. Can we share the recording of this in that group? Would that be okay?
Yeah, please.
Perfect.
I mean, it's to me, it's all about collaboration and getting this understanding out into the world. And like you said, absolutely, I love the idea of When Women Speak. I think, as I said, it's something that I think way too many of us get in our thinking about and don't do enough, and yet we have some amazing things to share when we do that. So,
we all do. Yes.
Indeed. So it's been an absolute pleasure and a delight. Thank you very, very much for stepping in and stepping up. And I think,
Thank you for having me at this in this webinar. So thanks. It was really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And this will be on our YouTube channel. So if anybody, if you want this, I will share it around on Facebook. But if anybody, if you want to go and watch this, or feel free to share this recording anywhere if you think it will be helpful to anyone, because, get it all out there. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being our lovely, lovely guest.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.